Hello, I'm Moira Alderson with the BBC News. The mayor of Kharkiv in northeastern Ukraine has told the BBC that the battle for the city has been won and that people are starting to return. Ihor Terekov said Russian troops had withdrawn towards the border 11 weeks after they first tried to encircle Ukraine's second largest city.
There are no Russian troops inside the city of Kharkiv because the Ukrainian armed forces, and especially the Territorial Defence Unit of Kharkiv, have succeeded in not letting them in. Russian troops entered a part of the city only once, but not for a long time. Russian tanks and armoured fighting vehicles were eliminated by Ukrainian fighters. Russians were constantly shelling Kharkiv because they were staying very close to the city. And due to the efforts of the Kharkiv Territorial Defence and Ukrainian armed forces, the Russians have now withdrawn far from the city, towards the border.
Turkey's foreign minister has said his country is ready to discuss plans by Finland and Sweden to join NATO, despite accusing them of giving asylum to people that his government considers Kurdish terrorists. Speaking in Berlin ahead of a NATO meeting, Mevlut Cavusoglu said the defence alliance was about solidarity and not just security. The Finnish foreign minister, Pekka Haavisto, said he hoped his country's application could proceed.
I hope that this process will in the end be successful, and of course we know that it will take several months for national parliaments and decision makers to come to the conclusion, and for us it's very important that there are also governments who have announced clear support during this, I would say, grey zone when you send an application in but you are not yet covered by the NATO Article 5.
Police in the US city of Buffalo in New York State say at least 10 people have been killed in a mass shooting at a supermarket. The gunman, dressed in body armour, had a camera and was carrying a rifle. Police said he was now in custody. The mayor of Buffalo said the suspect had travelled several hours to the city to perpetrate his crime. Demonstrations in support of the right to an abortion are being staged across the United States. The biggest rally is taking place in Washington. Thousands of people have marched on the Supreme Court following the leak of a draft that suggested the justices were preparing to overturn the national right to an abortion. In Houston, Texas, this protester said ethnic minorities would be most affected.
It will affect people of color more because, we already have to deal with so much travesties in the system already. And, our voices aren't heard as much. When it's a black voice, a Hispanic voice, an indigenous voice, we're not heard as much as white voices in any community that we are a part of. So that's why I feel like it will affect us the most.
World News from the BBC. The British government has blocked plans for the House of Lords to temporarily relocate to a building opposite Parliament. A minister, Michael Gove, told members of the upper house to move out of London during extensive restoration works. The neo-Gothic Houses of Parliament is in a state of considerable disrepair and its restoration will cost billions. Nick Eardley reports.
The Lords had started developing plans for the relocation, but the government has now put a halt to that, with Michael Gove saying he can't endorse a plan for peers to move just 200 yards away from their current home. In a letter seen by the BBC, Mr Gove says there are towns and cities across the UK which would be pleased to extend their hospitality to peers. He suggests exploring alternative options in the North, Midlands and South West of England, or Scotland or Wales.
The Ukrainian contenders in the Eurovision Song Contest have appealed for more help for the city of Mariupol and its besieged Azov steelworks after their performance in Italy on Saturday. In a rare instance of seriousness in the annual Festival of Camp, the lead singer of Kalush Orchestra gave this message to a worldwide television audience of millions.
I ask all of you, please help Ukraine, Mariupol. Help Azovstal right now.
Their song, Stefania, is the favourite to win the competition. President Zelensky has urged Europeans to vote for the band. Russia is banned this year because of its invasion of Ukraine. The English football giants Liverpool have beaten Chelsea to win the FA Cup. The match had finished 0-0 after extra time, but Liverpool won a penalty shootout 6-5. Liverpool have now secured their second trophy of the season. They could also win the English Premier League and the European Champions League in the next couple of weeks, completing an historic quadruple. BBC News.